Hi, my name is Melissa Hernandez, and I'm a biology biotechnology major this semester. I'm a senior graduating in the spring, and today I'll be talking about unifying our knowledge and food together based off the paper we read in this module this week. To give a brief introduction, we have the spices and their effects, and that's mainly what I want to talk about from this paper and the main takeaway I got. So, we realized that spices have allowed us to take a more detailed look into how our foods affect us and how our gut responds to particular foods, especially when they contain different bacteria from our local bacteria in our environment. And we noticed that spices have presented many benefits for us, including allowing us to store foods for longer periods and seeing that our gut responds well for many spices. And we do have benefits such as increased energy and increased gut overall balance because of these spices, as well as the benefit of having antimicrobial properties. We see that spices have also presented many negative effects, such as morning sickness and mutagenic situations in children. This was discussed in the paper as having mutagenic effects in children because we have rapid cell division before our adolescent stage, so we quickly take in the spices and it turns into a rapid cell division, which could lead to different genetic effects. And these spices can also have negative effects on pregnant women because of morning sickness if the body does not contain the energy to absorb all the spices and take in what it's giving to the pregnant woman, and the embryo is overall just trying to be protected, so the body will just expel whatever it thinks is not able to be contained. To discuss the hypothesis using spices in food, there were 5 predictions within the article that were explained, and many of them do relate back to antimicrobial properties. We noticed that the use of spices in hot climates does help out with food spoilage, and we noticed that meat recipes should be spicier because meat tend to have more microbes because of the overall foodborne illness related back to it. To continue on with the hypothesis of morning sickness, we notice that pregnant women are highly susceptible to foodborne illnesses just because they're carrying this new embryo, and they should eat a diet with spices involved in order to put off a lot of these foodborne illnesses, such as Toxoplasma gondii, which can happen in the first trimester. It's very important to delay or postpone these morning sickness effects entirely to have the embryo protected from the microbes. And food cravings during pregnancy has been seen to contain no microbes because the body just naturally would crave things that it knows work well with the gut. To continue on with the hypothesis, we see that morning sickness is associated with the healthy baby because the body is responding properly to expelling whatever it doesn't need during the pregnancy, so we tend to see positive pregnancy outcomes. And there are typical specific aversions that women have during pregnancy, and it also depends on what they tend to eat during their whole lifestyle and what the staple foods are for them. Pregnancy does allow us to become aware of what is going on in our body and how our organs are responding. So for results and discussion, this is a table here that shows the aversions and cravings in women, and we see that plant-based foods such as vegetables, fruits are craved more during pregnancy, and they do show the least microbial harm, which is why they are craved. So our body does naturally have an aversion to things like meats and alcohol and ethnic foods, dairy, that will give us some microbial harm potentially. To continue on with the results and discussion, we do see that coffees, teas, and sodas are also craved less during pregnancy because of the artificial sweeteners and the high sugars in them that could lead to some gut issues, as well as just having an overall unhealthy diet because coffees, teas, sodas tend to be more unnatural. Meats are high in aversion as well, like I discussed, because of the high susceptibility to foodborne illnesses, and alcohol as well is a high aversion during pregnancy because it is toxic to our body and the embryo as well. Overall, it's important to note that this paper brings light to many important aspects to our diet. So we know that our body will naturally expel and deter itself away from food that could lead to foodborne illnesses. And morning sickness and this paper has given us some insight into how we can incorporate spices with the antimicrobial properties into our diet. And we notice our gut responds specifically to the food we put in it. So we know that along the way, especially during pregnancy, we have specific aversions to foods that our body naturally wouldn't be compatible in our gut bacteria. So we know that from this particular paper, our gut is our home. We can nourish it correctly with the foods that we don't have aversions to or harm it, and the microbes will take over.